Now, I may be in pretty decent shape. Sure, I may look like an immortal Norse god, etc. Stop it. But I know the clock is already ticking. I'm teaming up with the world's leading longevity experts, taking on 6 of the toughest tests of my life, pushing myself to the very limit. Discover how we can all unlock the secrets of living a healthier, longer life.
There's certain battles we're just not gonna win.
Guess I'd better keep at it.
Let's go.
The battle against what time can do to us. This episode was one of the scarier things I've ever done in my life. Having completed it and still being alive, that was a plus. I had to walk out across a beam that was on top of a skyscraper.
It's training your mindset to embrace the stress so that it doesn't kill us later.
Stress. It definitely affects my sleep. And this is just going back a few years, you know. This is not such a big issue these days, but well, actually, it's not true. It is. Yeah, like I'll go to sleep fine, and then at 2:30, there's a shot of adrenaline, and my brain will just start going through a checklist of things. Be like, does that bother me? Does that bother? Oh, that one, yeah, good. Let's think about that. Let's tear that apart.
Are you getting nervous a bit now?
A little wave of nausea. Sometimes I don't even know why, and I wish I could deal with that stress better. Just got a whole lot realer, didn't it? Not just because it sucks, okay, but also it could be killing me. Performance anxiety when I was first acting, and it was debilitating. I would go to auditions and I'd want to throw up and I'd be shaking. And then even when I got jobs, and I don't know how I was getting jobs based on how nervous I was in those auditions, but I was then be on a set and it was like, I couldn't think or see, and I felt like I was going to pass out. And I was fighting that for years. And you talk about fear or excitement. And I remember reading something that took a series of tests with athletes, performers, musicians, actors, whatever, anyone in a sort of adrenaline-fueled sort of space. And they said, okay, before the event, are you nervous or excited? And some of them said they were scared out of their minds. Some of them said they were pumped. The interesting thing was they all had the same physical response.
Yeah.
Elevated heart, pulse, etc., clammy hands, short of breath. The only difference was how they labeled that feeling. And so for me, that was a real light bulb moment. And I thought, oh, okay. So when this feeling comes up and I'm about to walk onto a set, and you know, I programmed myself to say, uh-oh, this is bad.
That's fear.
This is fear. This is a negative.
Yeah.
I then went, nope, this is a positive. My spidey senses are up now. I'm going to be able to think faster, react quicker. I'm going to see clearer. I'm going to, you know, my vision will be sharp. And it was, and that was all it was. It was a decision then to see it differently. Then sort of, you know, as time goes on, I think the fear does have its place though. You know, I think you sort of would have heard people talking, you know, that the fear pushes you, your purpose pulls you, and both of them need to have equal sort of relevance in the conversation. And it's a bloody good motivator too. You know, half of these challenges, my fear of looking ridiculous if I didn't complete this task, or the fact that the episode wouldn't have worked, you know, that kept me going. But also the sort of purpose of why I was doing it kept me going. So I think they both deserve conversation. Just it's about balance. And if either of them get too much attention, then, you know, you have too much of, oh, my purpose and my thing. There can be a lack of humility there. You know, the fear I feel has allowed me to have more of a self-deprecating sort of sense of humor about myself and the world and the work, and hopefully kept me humble too. So the shock episode we shot in Norway, and I was in the water for 3-4 minutes, and it was 2 degrees Celsius, and that is imprinted on my body, mind, soul, all of it. Like, I don't know, maybe 25, 30, 40 meters. I was like, got this. You know what? I'm going all the way. I know, and I'm coming back. I'm doing 2 laps. And out of nowhere, once the initial sort of adrenaline went, I felt the most extreme headache, pain right to all through and to the back of my eyes, in front of my head, everywhere. And I was looking at the bottom as I was swimming, and I started getting really dizzy. And then I all of a sudden stopped, and I was like, I'm going to throw up. Like, it was that painful. And then I look, and I've actually swum off course a bit, and I've started swimming toward where the couple of the camera guys are, and they're like, the buoy's that way, go that way. So I head down again, and the whole time I'm just like, nah, get out, get out, get out, get out. And then I have another voice in my head, I have Ross's voice there saying, come on, fight, fight, dig in. And I just started going for it. But what starts to happen is your arms and legs are just like lead balloons. Nothing works. And I didn't even, I felt like I was swimming like this, a little chicken.
Yeah, and you can't keep your fingers together.
Can't
So
keep
your
the fingers
fingers start
together.
to splay. You can't hold the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was gnarly. The fasting episode was horrible. I didn't eat for 4 days, and so I was just miserable and cranky and hungry.
4 days without food to do a reboot on your system.
There was definitely a healthy amount of fear there, kind of motivating me. But I don't know, it also coming back to the why of it and why we're doing it, and understanding the specific purpose of each challenge was, on one hand looked like they were trying to kill me, but on the other hand was like there was an incredible amount of information and knowledge and support and science there that says you do this consistently, you work this into your daily routine, then the benefits are exponential. The strength episode, we had a number of attempts at it. I had an injury one time and then a scheduling conflict another time. By the time we finally shot it, there had been so much build-up and a lot of anxiety and nerves, and I was just so thankful to have completed it now.
Doors opening. We've got the rope going out.
Oh, I don't even want to look out there. Whoa, it all hits me. And all the little voices of doubt that I've been pushing aside in my mind start sort of getting louder and louder.
So how do you feel physically now from a strength perspective in terms of like how this has kind of morphed your training a little bit?
I feel it's more specific, my training now. I used to just sort of go in, and I still do to an extent, like, and just start throwing weights around and go, I go biceps, I go back, and I go chest and shoulders, and just as heavy as I could, as much as I could. And when I was a bit younger, I could get away with doing that. And then now it's like, oh, geez, I'm just not warming that up properly, or, you're kind of hitting everything too many times. And so just being smart about the training. And the memory episode was beautiful. We did a hike through the forest with a friend of mine.
You're going to have to navigate through the outback using only your brain.
You have a very rare combination, which is you have 2 copies of ApoE4.
And what does that mean exactly?
That means you have an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease.
How much higher?
Probably somewhere between 8 and 10 times higher than that of someone in the general population.
Yeah, right, okay. You're, I don't know, you're constantly thinking you're going to live forever, especially as a young individual, and then to all of a sudden be told, oh, this may be the thing that might take you out, was like, whoa, kind of floored me for a minute. The acceptance episode, it was one of the most amazing things I've done. It was profound and unique, and I was forced to look at my own death, or the idea of what that would be and the effect that would have on myself and those around me. And it's not a situation that, day to day we have to sort of think about. And a lot more nervous about that episode than anything else, because it wasn't something I could fight or muscle through or just put my head down, grit my teeth and go for it. I had to be completely open and vulnerable and accessible and confront things that I had never really thought about that much, and interact with people who were at the end of their days, or who had dealt with death in very extreme ways, or come close to death. You know, this point in my life, and am I proud of what I've done? Am I, what's next? And all I kept thinking was, I have been sprinting through life and the moments and opportunities.
What scares me is not being able to play with my grandkids, be active, all the things I love to do.
I realized that I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
You know, I have all these beautiful things around me and family and friends, but I can't go yet. This is not my time. And it made me think about my kids and how they're growing up and things are changing so dramatically. And like, I want to sit. I want to soak it in. I don't want to be in a sprint anymore. I want to be more present. I want to be right here and appreciate everything that's in front of me. And there's an urgency from her to shake people and say, wake up. It doesn't last forever. You know, it could, the end could come at any moment. So make the most of it and love and laugh and live with a sense of gratitude and joy, and have this realization now, not when I'm 80. You know, I'm glad I'm not sitting on my deathbed going, damn, I should have done this. I could have done this. If only I'd done that. So I don't know. I feel like this is sort of an awakening or a sort of shake up or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, that whole experience sort of shook me to my core and made me want to slow down and just race home to my family and my kids and not jump on another plane and travel and work and do anything else, you know.